If you know your craft, it can definitely become a career. I mean, you look at bartenders in Las Vegas and they're making close to like $100,000 a year just, flipping bottles, pouring drinks. I'm only there while you're getting drunk. I don't really know you from beforehand. I don't really know you afterwards. I'm just your friend while you're at the bar. Older women will hit on me with their husbands like not nearby, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're gonna get me in trouble. That dude is as big as I am. You have to be able to tell people no. You have to be able to like, no, get the hell out of here. You have to be able to be firm and still be like, cool guy. Do I give this guy another drink? Am I personally okay with giving him another drink? What's the kind of reaction am I gonna get if I tell him no? They're like, yeah, I'm ready. And then they're just sitting there staring at the menu like, It's like a legitimate thing, like, Tell me about, you just said you were ready.
Daniel, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Cool. So you're a bartender.
Yeah.
And you've been a bartender for, let's go with 4 years?
Yeah.
5 years, 4 years. And you're from Michigan.
Yeah.
And you moved out to Seattle because you thought it was big, and it's not as big as you thought.
Well, I mean, being big wasn't the only. It was like growing up culturally, this is where I wanted to be, like the punk scene, the grunge scene.
Right.
And then I got out here and it was like already dying. So it was a little disappointing.
But it's home now.
Yeah, for now it's home. I tend to move around a bit. I'm only here. I'm stuck here because I developed, I don't know, I just collected things. And now I'm like struggling to get rid of it and then save money to do my next big move.
Interesting. So you're on your way to becoming a minimalist.
I started off a minimalist. I just fell out of it because I got comfortable, I guess. Too comfortable, And just collect things.
I'm with you. I mean, look, I have things to get rid of if I ever wanted to get up and leave. So
that's true, yeah.
I totally get it.
So yeah, my biggest things now are just like this massive photo printer and then my scanners and all my cameras.
Wow. Yeah. So you're into video stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Do you, is there any way for you to involve video with bartending?
I'm sure there is. It's not my main goal. Bartending for me isn't like a lifelong career. It's just more something that like stuck for now. The overall goal is like paramedic work overseas in war zones and then doing war photography.
Nice.
That would be cool. I think that'd be really cool.
Wow. Yeah. Cool. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit of a glimpse into a life of a bartender. Yeah. Because I don't know about most people out there. I don't know any bartenders other than Daniel. So this is really cool because if I were looking for information, this would be a really nice, cool insight. So take me back to when did this thought of becoming a bartender ever enter your head, or did you just literally fall into it?
I mean, it's like, everyone that wants to be a bartender, like you saw something cool on TV and you're just like, oh man, that looks so cool. I can hang out with my friends. I could be a bartender. And then you like start doing it and you realize it's nothing like what you see on TV.
Isn't that true with all jobs?
Pretty much.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So were you bartending before you moved to Seattle?
No. So Seattle was more of like the big transition. I was bartending kind of like sporadically. Like I would bartend like house parties, or I would bartend like college events, or I would bartend like just random events where people knew that I knew what I was doing and they were just like, yeah, come do this, we'll pay you, kind of thing. As most people in this profession, you start off kind of like a server or a bar back or something like that. And that's what I did. I started off as a bar back at this place called Graydon's Crossing in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's my first official like real bar job. I'd done other things in other fields before that. And that's where I turned 21 also. And I worked my butt off, became a server there. From there I moved to this island in northern Michigan and I served there. And then, like, again, like the whole, like learning from the bartenders there, like what I should know. Because, you work in service industry, it's kind of like family. You become very close to people you work with. and just kind of grew up from there. And I moved here. You lie a little bit, you make yourself look good, and then you get a bartending job. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So 3 years bartending, or 5 years bartending?
Something like 4, something like that.
So 5 years in, you said it's not what you thought it would be. You said it's not your long-term career.
Yeah.
Is it a long-term career for some people? Could it be?
It definitely could be if you find like the right places and if you know your craft, it can definitely become a career. I mean, you look at bartenders in Las Vegas and they're making close to like $100,000 a year just flipping bottles, pouring drinks. But it's still more to that because as a bartender, you're curating the atmosphere. You're setting a tone for what this place is.
Interesting. Yeah. So if I wouldn't talk to you, I wouldn't think that the bartenders are the ones that set the tone. I would think that the bartenders are the ones who are asked of and required to follow the tone.
Oh, for sure. In like bigger corporate places, that's a thing. But still, if you have an angry bartender, you're not going to have a good staff, and the staff is going to like project that to your customers.
Interesting. So you mentioned flipping bottles.
Yeah.
How important is that with bartending, and is it something that every place wants their bartenders to do?
No, that's just like the flipping bottle thing is a showman thing. Like let's say Las Vegas, because it's a big production, it's a show. Like, you don't flip bottles to make money. If you're in a bar and it's like a busy bar, you're not flipping bottles to push out drinks.
Interesting. So it doesn't fit everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's legitimately, it's like a whole show thing.
Wow. And does every bartender need to climb a ladder or like you did? Or
yeah, pretty much that's how it works. Like every job, you kind of climb some sort of ladder.
Wow.
I mean, I remember working places and you meet a guy that just starts off as a bartender and everyone below him that wanted to be the bartender is just like, wow, I hate you so much.
So how does that happen? He probably came in from a bartender.
Probably had experience and they just wanted someone with experience right away. They didn't want to train someone.
Wow. So take me a little bit behind the scenes of the job of a bartender, because the life of a bartender.
I mean, it's different for everybody. I mean, like I said, I've told you earlier, I'm really not a big drinker anymore.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal to me. But it's like, I start off my day, I get up, I do whatever my errands were, I go to work, I have to learn what changed while I was away. Usually some keg changed or we swapped to a new dish, and you have to learn that, you have to learn the description, you got to learn everything about it really quick, and then you go and you sell it.
Wow.
And you push it, and you be friendly, and you have to put on the face of, hi, I'm here to help you. I like you. I'll be your friend.
You sound like someone who works with people.
Every day.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's funny. It's not just bartenders. There's people. You work with people. If you work with people as a person, it's interesting.
Yeah, you develop like a lot of people like develop a stigma. You become just jaded in the bartending. Like you really like service industry people become jaded so quickly. Even like any kind of service job, you become jaded.
It's true. I mean, it's natural. There's no way to keep that just by talking to different people who do different things. There's zero chance as a human to keep that initial excitement that you had in day one, in day four, in year 4. It's just impossible.
Oh yeah, I mean, you like when you're starting a job, you see all the cool aspects to it, but then as you progress, you're like, there's a lot of like crap comes with this.
Absolutely. And it's not, like you said in the beginning, it's not what you initially think it is, but then nothing really is, I think.
Yeah.
Everything is different. How do bartenders get paid? How does all that
It's the same as any job. I mean, any tip, it varies if you're like your job is tipped, if you get a tip pool, if you're sharing tips, it's pretty consistently over the board. You still get a paycheck every 2 weeks, a week, whatever it is for your job. In addition, we get tips at this current location. It's a pool tip kind of situation. So we all pool our tips together, and then it gets divided based on the amount of hours you were working during that shift and when you were working at that shift. At other jobs, it's like what you make is what you keep. And then you get taxed, and you have to report what you make, and then you get taxed on it. And it's like a little give and take here and there.
Interesting. Wow. And did you find that the crowds that you serve are different, like in Michigan and Seattle? Does that come into play a lot?
Regionality, where you talk about, changes a little bit, but for the most part, it's all about the vibe of the bar. You work at a punk bar, you're only going to get punk kids, you know.
Huh.
You work at run a douchey bro bar, you're going to get a bunch of douchey bros every night. You know. You work at someplace high end, you're only going to get people that spend money.
Interesting, and that would be good for tips. So, how long is a shift of a bartender?
Again, very subjective. I work at my current job 8-hour days, which for a lot of other people is like, wow, I'm not going to do that.
Interesting.
In the service
Does
industry.
it pass by fast?
No, not at all.
So it goes by slow. Compared to other jobs you had, it goes by slow.
For me, yeah. Well, I mean, also at this time of year, it's a slow season, so I'll get there and it's like, where is everybody at? You know? And then I'll just sit there doing side work all day, just at this bar, we juice all of our juices by hand, so I'm just sitting there juicing grapefruits.
You juice things by hand?
Yeah. I mean, this one, we don't use that hand thing anymore, the hand juicer anymore. This one job I used to use you ever seen those pulpers? What are those called? Those little, like, they're measuring cups with like a juicer thing on the top, and you have to literally like sit there and...
I've done that as a kid.
Yeah, so I used to have one of those, and that sucked.
Do bars do that?
Yeah, some bars do that. I mean, it's like based on what you have. You work with what you have.
Wow.
This bar is a cantina, so we do a lot of lime juice. So if I were to sit there with one of those hand things, it would take me hours to juice the amount of juice that we use in a day.
Wow.
So it's like, you know, you get the electric one. You're still putting your hand in there, but it's a little faster.
Interesting. So it's a little less work. So... at some point, did you think I'll be a bartender for the rest of my life, and then you changed your mind, or was this never?
It's never been one of those things I want to do for the rest of my life. I mean, as a kid, I grew up like, I want to be a bartender, but I also wanted to be, a bike carrier. I wanted to be a chef, and I wanted to be a drug dealer as a kid. It's like,
that's it.
You see all these things that are like super cool as a kid on TV, and you're like, I want to be all these things. And you're like, no, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And
you ride motorcycles?
I do.
Yeah? Do you want to do anything with that? Or
no, that's just more of like it's a passion thing. I do everything based on passion. It's like, I do not, as my friends like to say, Daniel's always down for anything. Daniel also is insane. Daniel will spend ridiculous amounts of money. I'm speaking in the third person. Spend ridiculous amounts of money to do something stupid that's kind of fun.
Interesting.
Like, you can always guarantee a good time with me. It might not be like the most comfortable, but it's going to be a good time.
So that's a huge upside, in terms of going through. You adapt and you figure things out. If you ever need to get a new job at a bar, you can adapt.
Yeah,
versus other people who, probably be that. Let's get down to the actual job. Let's talk about drinks and making drinks. From my perspective, a bartender is just someone who makes drinks. And that's really what a bartender is. But there's a lot more to it, I'm sure. What's the difference between me making a drink and you making a drink?
I'll probably be faster at it.
Okay, faster.
I mean, making a drink is just a recipe. You're following a recipe. You're learning a recipe. It might not be the same as someone else's recipe, but it's going to be pretty similar. I make a Manhattan. My recipe is 2-1-2, and you learn 2 ounces of rye, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, and you stir. And how you make it too. Like, if you don't know the recipe, or you have like a general idea, you might not know. You shouldn't shake that drink. You should always stir it. Or, just it like affects the flavors of and you might not know. I'm very poor at this right now. So for overall,
educate the people.
I'll know the little nuances that go into keeping your drink a certain flavor profile, a certain taste. Whereas, I remember being younger and not knowing what I was doing, and was like, okay, I know it's like this. So you just kind of pour, and then you kind of pour, and then you kind of pour, and you're like, okay, those are the ingredients. And you shake it, and then that just tastes horrible, Or what is it? James Bond's always shaken, not stirred. Should always stir a martini. The rule is if it's clear, you should steer.
Interesting. Clear, you should steer. That's for anyone out there, that's a good thing for home too.
Because it's you bruise the spirit. Spirits can be bruised. Alcohol can be bruised.
Interesting.
And it affects the flavor.
Wow. So how long have you not been drinking?
The last year and a half, something like that.
How much did not drinking alcohol, if at all, affect your job?
Not at all.
And I would think it would. So how did it not?
I mean, I still know what everything tastes like. You still kind of sample. You have to take little sips to know what things taste like, but it's not me drinking. And the only thing that really changed is that I had a new topic to talk about. People what is your favorite drink? And I'm like, well, I like this, but I haven't tried any of these new things in a while, so I can't really tell you if I like it or not. I can tell you that everyone else seems to like it.
Gotcha. Did you make any new drinks that you haven't made before when you were drinking after you stopped drinking?
Oh yeah, all the time. And you straw test it. You take a straw and you take a little sip and you just taste it. It's less than it's like a couple milliliters of liquid.
Gotcha. So you don't mind doing that. You're not like hardcore. I don't put
alcohol. No. I only stopped drinking just because it was more of like I like to smoke pot a lot. So it's like trading one vice for the other, and it saves me some money.
Wow.
And I never really enjoyed the feeling of being drunk, especially excessively drunk, because when you work service industry, everyone just drinks and you kind of party.
It's fascinating that alcohol is legal. And
right.
As a bartender, I'm assuming you view this whole, now in Washington pot is legal, but you view this whole alcohol and pot thing from your perspective, because I'm sure you've seen some crazy drunks doing crazy things in your life. Time. And that pot, people who are high would never do. And so from your perspective, it's probably like, what? Like, this is legal.
I mean, again, it's all subjective to me. It's just like, if anything can like make you feel messed up, like, I love pot.
Yeah.
But there's times where I'm just like really stoned. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do some weird thing really quick. But yeah, it's just, I feel like it affects everyone differently. Alcohol affects everyone differently. Like I said, I don't like the way it feels. I get dizzy after too much, and it's just like, that's not comfortable.
Did you see tell me some crazy stuff you've seen. What's the craziest?
Like drunk people?
Drunk people at your bar while you're working. Just crazy stuff that only bartenders come across. People
tend to see me and they don't tend to do crazy things. I'm just a very large dude. I mean, I've worked in, have you ever been to Pioneer Square in
maybe
Seattle?
Once.
It's a very rowdy crowd down there.
Okay.
And, I've worked down there and I've had to throw people out because they're like trying to start fights. It's like the most rowdy things you'll ever see, really, in general, just people trying to start fights with each other, and just like, you can't do that here, Like, go take it outside. I don't care if you go do it outside, just like not in front of the bar, just go down the street a little bit.
How many people, from your perspective, in all these, let's go with 5 years of bartending, what if you'd have to throw a percentage out there, just because I'm curious, what's the percentage of people who flip and become different people once there's alcohol in their system, overall?
I really can't say. Just because I'm only there while you're getting drunk. I don't really know you from beforehand. I don't really know you afterwards. I'm just your friend while you're at the bar. I mean, if you become a regular, yeah, I'll become your friend in general. But, I mean, still, unless we're hanging out outside of work, all I really see is what you're like when you're drinking.
So you don't see, I'm sure sometimes you do, but it's not that there's a lot of sober people walk in and they're very nice, and 4 drinks in, they're cursing at you or yelling.
I mean, regardless if they're nice when they're coming in, that to me could be just like a social thing. Like, hey, I don't know you yet. I'm not comfortable with you yet.
Got it.
Because even me, I'm not drinking. If I'm meeting somebody, I'm usually not swearing right off the bat. I'm not like letting out the F-bombs. I'm not letting out like the old like words and slang that I used to use when I lived in Michigan, It's like I'm still like maintaining a tone. But once you're comfortable with somebody, you're just like whoever you want to be.
Interesting.
So I feel like alcohol in general does help bring that out a little faster. But again, I don't know unless I've spent more time with you.
Why? That's so true that you say that alcohol. What would be a good word? Calms things down, like opens people up.
Alcohol's a depressant.
Is it depressant?
Yeah.
Talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's classified as a depressant, like it brings you down. Like it's like in the drug aspect, like cocaine brings you up, alcohol technically brings you down.
Wow. So it's not true that if I'm drinking and I'm happy, I'll be happier?
I mean, yeah, you could be. I mean, you might think you're happier, but
it's a depressant at its core.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you take I don't know, what is it? Like Xanax, it's a depressant, it's an opiate. That's not an opiate, I don't know. But like some people just feel happier. They're on Xanax, they're not thinking, they're not all anxious anymore. I mean, alcohol lowers certain inhibitions.
Do people like in a crazy way just open up to you at the bar when they're drinking?
All the time.
What are some crazy stuff people tell you?
I mean, people will talk about like how they were, I don't know, what was it? It's not like, people don't like tell me like things that I particularly think are crazy. it's just like they'll talk about their lives and like someone might have died, and I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like, okay, now what do you want me to do? Like,
just like open up.
Yeah, they just open up. I mean, the craziest things are probably like when older women will hit on me with their husbands like not nearby, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're gonna get me in trouble. That dude is as big as I am.
This dude's as big as I am?
Oh, you know what? I have had a crazy story. There was one bar I was working at, and I wasn't a bartender yet. I was just like one of the bigger like servers, and there's this thing called the yacht races that goes on, and basically we're like the middle anchor point where the yacht races go through, and all these sailors just come to town and they get belligerent, but they're usually a riot. They're just belligerent, and this one guy who wasn't a sailor, he was just there for the races, came through. The guy was bigger than I am. And I'm 6'1", 292 pounds, broad shoulder. This guy was massive. And he was throwing a fit. He was having a cow, something like the server stole his credit card, blah, blah, blah. The guy gave the server his credit card and then was harassing the wrong server about his card. And I'm just like, what the crap? Anyways. And he was trying to start a fight with all the staff. And so they call me down, and he's like sizing me up, getting in my face, and I'm just like, God, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna take the first hit for this. This is gonna suck. And then everybody would like probably get there and pile in, but luckily the police showed up in the nick of time. The only time that they're ever on time, they showed up.
Oh my God!
And they helped de-escalate this issue. But he's like threatening to come back. I'm like, I'm gonna sue you later. I'm like, go ahead.
You know what? That's what happens when you work with alcohol.
Pretty much.
That's
like,
the job.
That's one of those things that, as a bartender, you have to become a little desensitized to those kind of things. Like, you have to know, like, you have to be able to tell people no. You have to be able to, like, no, get the hell out of here. You have to be able to be firm and still be, like, a cool guy.
Wow. So how tough is that? It's easy talking about it. How tough is it when you... And here's what I mean by tough. It's not that you're telling no to someone you've never met. I'm talking with you about someone who walked into the bar, 4 or 5 drinks in, they're nice. Drink number 6, they flip, and now you need to be that person. But you've already developed a thing with them. Is it awkward?
It does feel awkward, honestly. Like, even with having developed a thing, it's a little weird. It's like your judgment. Like, it's like, do I give this guy another drink? Am I personally okay with giving him another drink? What's the kind of reaction am I going to get if I tell him no? Is he going to try to, like, argue with me? Is he going to try to, like, what is he going to do? What is he going to do to like try to get me to give him another drink? And I have to stand firm and be like, no. And then, like, too, like, if you have, like, someone that you actually genuinely enjoy having around, like, there's customers I genuinely enjoy. And there's times when I'm just like, I want to tell you no. You're, like, this is a new part of you that I haven't seen as a drinker. It's someone that comes in regularly.
I like that. So instead of saying no, you tell them, I want to tell you no so badly right
No,
now.
I don't tell them that.
You don't tell them that?
It's like the inner monologue. It's like, in my head, I want to tell you no. I'm probably going to tell you no. But I'm going to, like, push it out a bit. I'm going to, like, just find a way to, like...
Because you're a regular and I see you a lot.
And I enjoy your presence, and I don't want this to change the dynamic. But then, like, if you think about it deep down, it probably wouldn't change the dynamic that much. Like, most people tend to be pretty understanding. And they're just like, you're right, this is your job, blah, blah, blah. Wow. You do have those few that are very unruly, and you're just like... And then once they become unruly, it's like a whole mood change for me. I'm just like, I don't like you anymore. Get out.
Wow.
They're like, no, you're done. Here, drink this water. You're done. And I've had times when, like, bigger groups will come through. One will come through, and I'm like, no, dude, you can't have any more. And then a friend will come by, and she'll ask for, like... Or she or he will ask for a drink, and then she'll ask for herself, and then she'll be like, oh, can I get another one, too, for so-and-so? I'm like... Is that guy over there? And she'll be like, yeah. I'm like, no. Actually, you're all kind of cut off now because if I think you're all going to try and get them drinks, then no.
Wow.
Like, none of you are going to, like...
So there's a lot to your job that goes beyond making drinks. Meaning you have to think, you have to,
you watch TV and you see, or what's that movie, Cocktail with Tom Cruise?
Uh-huh.
And you're like, it just looks so much fun, and you're just, like, partying, and you're just chilling, chit-chatting with your friends, and while you're behind the bar, and realistically, it's not like that. I mean, you're working. If only your friends came to the bar, you'd be broke, because your friends, they'll tip you, but, like, you really have so many friends. Like, like, you don't have time to sit there and, like, just chit-chat with your friends all day. You have to work on waiting all these other people that are actually going to pay you more.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people walk into a bar, percentage-wise, how many people walk in and don't leave until they're slammed versus people who walk in, do a drink, and leave, meaning that's all they need and that's all they want?
Subjective. Again, it's different based on the bar you work at. I currently don't work at a dive bar. So, and in the neighborhood that I work at, it's a very family-oriented neighborhood. So I don't have that issue most of the time. There are a few customers that do come in and they don't leave till they're slammed. But they've also been like sitting at the bar for like 3-4 hours talking with somebody.
Gotcha.
And just putting them back slowly at a time. So I'm pretty comfortable like serving them. And they live in the neighborhood. You know, I know they're gonna walk home.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Here. So I'm not like worried about it in any way. Because again, that's another thing that people don't think about. Your job is to like entertain and get these people drunk. But if you get them too drunk, you're liable. As the bartender, you're liable for like, if they leave this bar and go drive and hit somebody, you can be responsible and held liable. And yeah, lawyers will try to get you sued, will try to have you sued too.
Because you need to make sure that they don't drive?
No, because it's your responsibility to know when to say no to them.
I gotcha.
Because like you're supposed to like not let them get belligerent.
Gotcha. Wow. So it could track back to you. So it's not just a matter of I don't want you in my bar. It's a matter of I don't want your lawyers coming back to me if something were to happen.
Yeah.
After you left.
Yeah. So like you have to be careful with that. Like on the island I lived on, everyone that like got belligerent there was like, you know, a tourist or someone that lived on the island. And if they're passed out in front of the bar, we get hit. We get hit hard. Like we can't have that happening. You can't let people pass out at the bar. You can't let people bring in open drinks. You can't let people bring in their drinks from anywhere. You can't let people bring in food. You can't let people do a lot of things. You're the law. And this bar becomes this is your country and you're the law.
And you enforce the law.
Yeah, you enforce the law.
Wow. So this is interesting. So do you guys have a procedure if someone opens their own bottle how does that work from a bartender standpoint?
That is me taking the bottle, telling you to leave, and then walking away.
That's a procedure.
That's my procedure. It's like, I'm taking your bottle, you're leaving, and then I'm walking away.
Got it.
Like, there's no, like, that's just like a common sense thing, I feel like, at this point. Like, if you're over a certain age, it's pretty common sense that you don't bring your own alcohol to a bar.
Absolutely.
You don't, unless like this place says it is BYOB, bring your own booze, like, which is not a thing if you're holding a liquor license.
Right. Wow. So you mentioned dive bar and you work today. What's the bar you work today? What would you consider that?
It's a restaurant bar. It's a restaurant with a bar, you know?
So there's many different types of, and we touched on this briefly before, there's many different types of places that you'll be working at that vary dramatically, both in terms of what it looks like and in terms of the people who show up and drink. Did you change many of those in your life, or was it pretty much a dive bar? And
yeah, no, I mean it's pretty consistently. Most of the time, you'll find like a restaurant bar. It becomes one of those things too, like what area you're in. If there are certain types of bars, like college. I love college bars.
And why do you love college bars?
Because they're rowdy. I can be a jerk if I want to be, and that's about it. Like, they don't pay any better than most of the bars.
So you get to be yourself more.
Yeah, I get to be more of a jerk if I want to be a jerk. Restaurant bars and like corporate places like that, you have to kind of like maintain a certain attitude because you want people to keep coming back no matter what. They're not just going to flow in regardless. College bar, people are going to flow in even if they don't want to be there. It's just like, you know, you're in college, you do what your friends want to do. You don't like this bar? Well, too bad. The rest of us want to go.
Well, interesting. Wow.
You know, that's not even bartending. That's just like social life.
So when you work in a restaurant bar, I'm assuming there's a lot more food. At those type of places. Does that mean that the bartender has to learn the menu of food, or bartender's always a drinks person?
No, I mean, if you're at a restaurant bar, you have to learn everything because you're still serving people at the bar. You're still giving them food and everything.
Oh, so this is an awesome point for someone out there who wants to become a bartender. They need to learn more than just drink recipes and serving drinks.
I mean, you're not really learning the food recipe, but you are learning about your restaurant's particular food.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, you're selling this product. You have to know it.
So you're called bartender, but you're really just selling every single thing that restaurant sells.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm still the bartender. I'm the only one allowed to make your drinks. I'm the only one allowed to come behind the bar. If you come behind the bar, if you're a server and you're coming behind the bar, I'm probably yelling at you to get out.
Oh.
Like you're in my way.
I did not know that. So when you say allowed, is it legally required of me to have a bartender's license to make drinks?
Yeah, actually. You can't make drinks unless you're holding, in the state of Washington, you have to have a Class 12 bartender's license.
I did not know this.
And in Washington, you have to be 21 years of age. If you're pouring alcohol, making drinks, and you're not 21, your bar can be fined. In the state of Washington, anyone that serves alcohol has to serve some sort of food, entree dish. At least, I think it's like one at least.
Because people get less slammed.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is that they'll have something to help, like, keep them, I don't know, I'm not sure the exact reason for it. I just, like, you have to have food. I know that.
This is fascinating. So every place in Washington you'll work will serve at least one edible thing?
Yeah, they have to.
And you have to have a specific Class 12 bartender's license?
Mixologist license is what it's called. I can show you. I can actually show you mine. It's probably...
Interesting. I did not know this.
Tore up.
And how do you get one?
It's just an online class. Like, I think it's like $20, maybe. I don't remember.
And what do you learn online?
Honestly, I don't know. I just kind of like clicked through it. It's like a class. You're supposed to like learn stuff. Like, it like teaches you like when to know if someone's too drunk.
Oh, things like that.
Yeah,
so it's just like
that,
this.
and like health code stuff. And
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, you lost weight since.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just put something on there. I don't even remember what I put on there when I got that.
That's awesome.
I thought it was ridiculous that they asked you like
your weight,
your eye color, your height, like,
to serve drinks. Are you fit to be a bartender?
Yeah, something like that.
That's awesome. Wow. So after what type is your favorite type of place to work in? Dive bar?
Oh yeah, I love working at dive bars.
Dive bars. And what would consist of the dive bar? What would make something a dive bar?
Lack of food.
So not a lot of food.
Rowdy.
You don't want to deal with that.
I mean, like, you go to a restaurant, you know what you're getting into. You're just sitting down, you're relaxing, you're having food, and you're having a couple drinks. Dive bars where you go to hang out, you know? You're with your pals, everyone's just there to hang out, loud music. There's like probably some sort of game going on the side there.
So you're into that. Talk about noise. You don't mind noise? Do you have earplugs?
I don't mind noise. I don't have earplugs. I live above a row of bars right now. I'm like the second floor. I'm like right above a bar. So it's always loud. I'm like, I don't really care.
So you could hear the music when you're trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, usually the bar is closed by the time I'm going to sleep because my own bar is closing, or like I'm like getting out of a bar with some friends.
But if you were to go to sleep at 9 p.m. one night,
they would be loud.
You wouldn't sleep.
I mean, I would sleep. I have no problem just passing out. I know a lot of people don't. When I was trying to find roommates, like, oh yeah, this is perfect for me. What's the noise like? I'm like, did you not read what I said? We live above a bar. There's a bar across the street. There's 2 karaoke bars across the street from my apartment.
So it's not only loud, but it's bad singing loud.
Yeah, bad singing loud. There's a nightlife in that street.
I would die, Daniel. I'm telling you, I have a hard time sleeping in a car because I'm not in a quiet room. Like, that's how crazy it is. But then there's people who could just... I'm assuming you could fall asleep anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I've fallen asleep in a lot of weird places.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. So... bartender, there's so much. So what are some things that you learned about being a bartender that you did not know prior to being a bartender?
That it's not all fun. That's pretty much it. It's just like, I didn't really learn like I don't know how to describe this. I mostly learned how to be more of a social person. It's like, I'm adaptable as it is, but like as a bartender, you interact with so many more people. And then it just becomes like you find those like points of like social awkwardness or just social like confusion, and you kind of just have to learn to adapt to that. And then as over time I've learned to adapt to that. Like normally, talking on camera or to people, just like it's like a weird thing for me. It's
I really appreciate you doing this. Yeah.
But like I've since then gotten better with social speaking and crowds and dealing with people, and then like learning how to deal with that awkwardness of like telling somebody no and like. Just interacting with people and like learning to be the law of the land. So
I'm assuming the average person, when they say I'll become a bartender, they're not necessarily are thinking about, am I ready to tell people no? Am I ready to cut people off? Am I ready to send people out? Am I ready to take someone's bottle and tell them to leave? Am I ready to make sure that someone is not getting so slammed to the point where their lawyers might come back to me? You're saying people don't necessarily think about these things. All they're thinking about is like the movies, like you did. I want to have fun and make drinks and, whatever.
Yeah. Or they'll see, I get this from a lot of people. They'll like tell me that they want to be a bartender and like they like watch me interact and like be who I am behind the bar. And they'll like, again, all they see is like the fun and that I have. And it's not like that I'm having fun. It's that I'm doing things to like distract myself from being like, mind-numbingly bored or from like just trying to entertain myself. Like you'll see me dancing behind the bar, and it's more of this entertainment for me. It's just like, okay, doing my thing, kind of like getting along. I've got like another 6 hours of today to go. Why is it going so slow? Blah blah blah. That sort of stuff. And like I interact with people, and I always seem very cheery. But it's like it's part of my job. You know, I have to seem cheery. Like I'm not hitting on you. I'm not hitting on your girlfriend, bro. I'm just like being a nice guy and like doing my job.
Talk about that. Do people mistake being nice for that a lot in a bar setting?
All the time. And
how do you deal with it?
You just deal. You just go along. You ride that wave usually, and it's not for me. It's not as big of an issue as it is for like female coworkers and like female bartenders, because you just kind of get like it's that thing. Guys just feel like if you're a girl and you're nice to me, you're like, oh, you want to be with me, you want to love me, kind of thing. And it's never that. I mean, it might be very rare cases if you're, if you're an attractive person.
Right.
I'm sure you tend to get it a lot all the time, and like your server might be hitting on you. What's that rule of like? There's like some dumb internet rule thing. Rule number 1 is be attractive. Rule number 2 is don't be unattractive. I'm sure you like if you're attractive, you're going to get it a lot too, especially for like the female servers. If you're an attractive female server, bartender, you're going to get people hitting on you a lot, or assuming that your niceness is you hitting on them.
Right.
And it's not. It's just a social thing. We're like trying to be nice because we want your money, you know.
It's a business.
It's the job, yeah. Like I'm getting paid to wear this happy mask, because there's days I come into work and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I just had the roughest day. Like my dog died, or just something dumb. Like I got a speeding ticket or something like that. And you have to come in and you have to like let that all wash away, you know. And you have to like pretend to be this extra happy person all the time.
Because your customers don't care how you feel, they only care how you act.
Essentially, I mean, I'm sure they care. I mean, there's customers, they care how you feel, but like they're there to have a good time or to relax. They can't like, you don't want them to feed off your energy, your sad sack self. You want them to also be happy, and like happy person is a happy wallet. I mean, a happy person is my happy wallet, you know?
And it's so directly related with your type of job. I mean, there's other people who work behind a computer and they could do great work while being depressed. Yeah. And it won't matter because, yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. Talk about coworkers. How many bartenders are in a bar on average at a given?
Just very subjective again. It's like where you work. I've worked at places where it's always 2 bartenders behind the bar no matter what. And it's just that busy. You have your bartender that maintains the bar, and you have your bartender that like maintains the well. And the well is like where the servers come to get, or the service bar, sorry, the well and the service bar. And that's where the servers come to get their drinks for their tables.
Oh.
You know, like, because as the bartender, you're making all of the drinks. And it's a little hard sometimes when you're maintaining a full bar and then you're maintaining a full restaurant's worth of drinks. Because it's a lot of drinks, especially if there's like food involved too, because then you're not only taking orders and you have to deal with people that are like, yeah, I'm ready. And then they're just sitting there staring at the menu like, It's like a legitimate thing, like, Tell me about, you just said you were ready. I've literally got 5 more seconds before I have to run and go do like 20 drinks. Like I don't know. You've probably seen it in like movies. You ever seen the movie Chef?
No.
It's probably bad. Like when they're super busy and you see the kitchen's like got this printer that's printing out white tickets, and those are all the orders. And I've worked, and sometimes I'll have like someone standing there trying to tell me like, and then you'll see my printer in the background just spitting out drink orders. I'm like, please, I'm gonna come back. And it's just like, it's a thing. Like, and that's like one of those aggravating things too behind the bar. It's like, you always feel like there's something you have to be doing. There is something you always have to be doing. You're not really allowed to just stand there.
So there's always something you have to be doing, or always something you could be doing?
It's a little bit of both.
Interesting.
There's always something you should be doing, not could. Like, oh yeah, I could do this. No, you should do it. If you're thinking about it, you probably should do it.
Huh.
Like, it's just the like, why, my policy is why do it later when you can do it right now. Like, it's going to screw me over later if I don't do it now.
How much could a bad coworker bartender affect your job versus a good one?
Significantly.
Talk about that. Say you're working with, let's start with the bad. You're working with someone who you just, you know what, this ain't happening.
It's not always about like whether or not you like that person either. They just might not be. Okay, so on very busy nights, I'll be working with someone else and I'll be pumping out drinks, and that person might not just be able, might just probably can't hold their own weight. And so then you're picking up on their slack because, again, it's a tip pool place there. So you need that money. It's like if someone's not working, especially at a tip, sorry, I'm like sporadically going everywhere.
Oh, no, that's good.
Start with the beginning. If you're working with someone that can't pull their own weight, it makes your job even harder because you have to like cover their slack. And it's very obnoxious when you have to cover someone else's slack. And then in places where it's like tip pooling, like where I'm right now, if you're covering someone else's slack, they're still getting paid the same amount regardless in those tips, even though you worked twice as hard to make those tips happen.
I totally get it.
So it's like one of those things, like you might like this person. Like I have tons of coworkers, I like them, but I never want to work in a shift with them
because you're earning their tip
essentially, or like you're again as the bartender. Generally you're in a role of as a supervisor. Essentially, you're basically the boss in certain aspects of time and day and whatever. And if you got someone that's constantly making mistakes, that just takes more work for you again, or you have to like cover for their mistakes. You have to do all these random things, or just like making things better. Like I've always got like one server that's making mistakes with tables orders, and I have to go over there and I have to apologize and I have to like fix the order and bring it back. And it's like crazy. It's
you're following their trail, apologizing.
Yeah,
and
it's more work.
Man, so that's on the unfortunate side of things. Talk about how could a good coworker enhance your thing as a bartender? Where would that play out?
It's just the exact opposite. Then you just have someone that's like, again, they cover their own ass. They're doing just as much work as you are, and it makes the day go by easier, probably faster in some cases too. Just because you don't notice like extra work you have to do. I've got this friend Dave, Davey J. We used to call him 2K Davey J. Okay. Because we're on the slowest, the most random nights, the guy would always print out a $2,000 service day where he would his net sales would always be $2,000 or more.
Wow.
We just couldn't figure it out. And when you work with Dave, you're in a tip pool, you're guaranteed to like work and get extra money.
How does he do it?
Dave is just that social enigma, man. You just don't understand where his charm comes from.
Wow. So yeah, Dave would be someone I'd want to work behind a bar with, because.
And it like again, it's like one of those things too. Like you have a coworker that's like fast, he's competent, and he knows what he's doing. You don't have to worry about him and like pick up his slack.
And you won't be walking around to people apologizing for things that...
or like fixing things or like buying the kitchen's love.
So let's take it from behind the bar to the waitresses, waiters and waitresses. How much do those come into play as far as your day-to-day 8-hour work?
Well, I mean, they're your coworkers, so regardless, you're interacting with them. And it doesn't really affect me. It's like whatever you do, you do. I mean,
they just take things out.
Yeah, they run their stuff. They ask me for stuff, and again, it's that same thing. Like you're picking up slack if they make a mistake, and it's the same thing. It's like a bad coworker, good coworker. You're picking up slack if they're bad. You're gaining an easier day, I guess, an easier day if they're good. And your coworkers basically become family if you're like working with them all the time. You work in this place for years. Like the last restaurant I worked at, all my coworkers and we all still keep in contact. I mean, that's where I was last night. I was hanging out with them. None of us work together anymore because the restaurant we used to work at closed down. But I mean, we're all so close. We've been working together for years. So it's, we're like my best friends.
Wow.
And then you just go out together and you live a life, a service industry life. Long nights drinking, smoking weed, hanging out.
So let's talk about that. Would you tell aspiring bartenders, people are looking into it, if someone out there goes, I need to go to sleep, I need to get to bed at 10 p.m., that's my thing. Is there a room in the world for a bartender who tucks in early?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, there's day bars, there's different kind of restaurants. You have like brunch bartenders. You work during the day. You get
so it's not like night owls, everyone.
No, the majority of bartending shifts tend to be at night. And that's just the way it is. And that's fine because it's when everybody goes out. And like during the weekday, nobody's out drinking during the weekday. And most people are working. But during brunch on the weekends, it's a party again. Everyone's like, all those early birds are awake and they're ready to start their day with a mimosa or a Bloody Mary or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
one of those things.
Let's talk about happy hour. Is it happy hour at that time because it's the slowest time of the day and you guys are trying to fill things in?
That's the idea, yeah. You fill in space where you're not getting business by giving discounts and bring people in.
And it works.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, my happy hour is ridiculous. It starts from 3 and it goes till 6. The first hour is slow because everybody knows they have 2 hours, but as soon as like that hour and a half left,
they're running in.
Start piling in. Sorry, burp.
Oh, it's all you're drinking club soda.
Yeah.
It's very understandable.
Yeah. So they start piling in. And sometimes it sucks because you're just like, where everybody at? And then just like, boom, the entire restaurant fills up at one point. Everybody wants the same things and they just want it cheap and they want it quick.
Ah.
And then people are getting in there 10 minutes to after happy hour, 5 minutes till happy hour is about to end. And they're just like, I want all of it.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming every single night that you work there, transitioning from the end of happy hour to not being happy hour anymore, there has to be one or two people who will argue with you as to how much they need to pay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And you expect it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is your bill. You ordered from this to this till this time. I told you. I mean, this is the thing. You have to just tell people things, too. You have to iterate it. Like, hey, it is no longer happy hour. This is the price you'll pay. And sometimes they're down for it. Most of the time they're just, okay, whatever. And they'll just order 1 or 2 more drinks after that. And then if they're not, they're just, no, I'm okay, then I'm done. I'm like,
wow.
Okay.
Interesting. If I wanted to become a bartender tomorrow, how does one go about, for people out there, how does one go about getting on with a restaurant? How do you apply? What's the process? Is there an interview?
Yeah, it's the same as any job. It's just you drop a resume. If they think you're good enough, you go and you do an interview.
And what's the interview consist of?
What is your last job?
Do you make drinks for them?
If you're bartending, yes. I mean, but any bartender already knows this. So, I mean, for anyone else, it doesn't matter for them because if you've never been a bartender, you're not going to get a bartending job and they're not going to test you on drinks.
But if you're a bartender coming from one restaurant to the next, they'll obviously sit down with you and look at your resume. But will they ask you to make me a certain drinks and they'll taste it or none of that? Yeah,
they'll do that. It depends where you work. I remember I went to one interview and she basically just asked me to sell her beer. And I'm like, okay. And then basically from that point, you just think of all the keywords, and you start throwing keywords at them. They're like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Like,
interesting.
Cool. And then like, what's your favorite cocktail? Will you like build it for me? And then, or like list off the ingredients for me? And like, yeah, I'll tell you my favorite cocktail.
So when you say sell the beer, are there certain words they want you to use?
Yeah, keywords, like things that like people think like fresh hop. This beer has got a lovely aromatic, like fresh hop. Like, I don't know. It's very aromatic, like how you would sell wine, I guess. Like beer and wine is like the kind of like the keywords go hand in hand. Like you sell a stout, you got to look for like it's very robust, very kind of nice malty palate. These are roasted malts.
Oh my god!
Got a little hop profile in the background. There's just one beer. What is it? I forget what it's called already, honestly. But I remember reading the label and they're like, it's got these specific malts, slow roasted with chocolate and blah blah blah. And in the very back, you'll notice a very like slight hop burst.
Oh my god!
And then I remember drinking it and I'm like, I don't taste any of that.
I just taste beer.
Yeah, I just taste beer. But okay.
But if it sells.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. That's your job, is you're selling things. So you have to find like buzzwords, like you see TV shows or things that they sell you online. You're like, this is the best lifetime warranty, blah, blah, blah. Buzzwords. You find buzzwords.
Interesting. Wow. So cool. I'm sure we didn't scratch the surface, but in the name of wrapping things up, heading in that direction, what are some, Daniel, necessary, vital skills that someone out there considering becoming a bartender either should have, and if they don't, they should go out and buy it because it will make or break your 8 hours at the bar?
It's just social skills, man.
Because you're dealing with people. Yeah,
just dealing with people. I mean, you should obviously have a decent memory of retention because you're going to learn recipes. You're going to learn all these drinks. Good work ethic because you're working. It's not like all games. It's fun. There are moments where it's fun. It's great. Like any job, but you're still working. It's work. It's your income. Yeah, it's like it pays your bills. Like literally, you're doing a job to survive. And that's the only reason people bartend. I mean, that I can think of is like you're doing this to pay your bills, and it pays pretty well. Right. Like you don't deal with manual labor, but it's a very emotionally tolling job at times, and like mentally tolling. So absolutely, you're sacrificing mental health for money.
Yeah, and I'll throw this in there I mean, we did throw it out earlier, and this is something that I just from talking to you, I'm like, if I wanted to become a bar, it would be important to consider these things, and that would be the other sides of the job that I'm assuming the average person wouldn't necessarily think of.
And they're not seeing.
They're not saying. It's the cutting people off. Or not cutting people off, but it's the notion that they will every once in a while have to do that, because
they will have to be the law.
Have to be the law and have to respond to situations in manners that are probably uncomfortable to them, at least in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
So those are some things to consider. Daniel, last question, and I end all my interviews with this question. If there were one thing about your job that you could change, what would it be?
Nothing. It's pretty easy.
You got to come up with one. The seatbelt doesn't open until you come up with one.
I don't know. One thing that I would change?
If you could change one thing about your job, what would it be?
I really don't have anything. I don't know.
Everything's perfect.
And for a job, yeah, it's pretty perfect. I mean, I really don't have to work very hard. Like you
wouldn't change a thing?
No, I like it the way it is. It's what would I change? I don't know. Probably the requirement to have to get a bartender's license.
Okay.
I don't have to do that in Michigan.
Interesting. So you find that to be so non-important on your end of things that you would eliminate it?
Essentially, it just costs me money. I have to pay for it every 5 years.
Interesting. So you would say this doesn't prove anyone to be anything?
Pretty much. I mean, like I said, in Michigan, I'm from Michigan, you don't need a bartender's license. You can get like a mast permit, which is like the equivalent of a bartender's license, but it doesn't do anything. It just tells people like, oh, I know how to tell when people are too drunk.
Interesting.
But I mean, that's like, again, that's as a bartender, I feel like that becomes common sense. Like,
so you're saying this as a result of seeing bartenders out there who are really good, who didn't have a license, and seeing here in Washington bartenders who probably shouldn't be in the profession who do have a license.
Well, getting a license isn't hard. Like I said, it's like 30, 45 minutes on the computer. You just clicking a button. You're listening, clicking a button.
Interesting.
You answer a few random questions. You're listening, clicking a button. That's all it is.
So it's extra.
Yeah, it's just extra for no reason. That's like the only thing that can. Like, I really enjoy bartending for the most part. I you hate dealing with crappy people, but.
As with all of us. And This is awesome because it sounds like you are very connected with, I don't want to use drink the Kool-Aid or not drink the Kool-Aid, but you're very in touch with reality as far as you love your job, you love what you do, but there's a lot that happens and comes with it, and you're okay with dealing with, but you're just aware of those things.
Oh yeah, but that's just me as a person. I mean, other bartenders, like, all I hear them do is whine and whine and whine, like, oh, she asked for like a bunch of cocktails. I'm like, what's her job?
Yeah.
I hate dealing with it. It might slow me down, but it's your job.
It's your job, and that's what you signed up for. And you know you won't do it forever. Personally, some people do.
Yeah.
But as long as you're there, it sounds like you're in touch with what's happening.
Yeah, enjoy what you're doing for now, anyways.
That's awesome. Daniel, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.